Hey there, fellow self-hosting fans. I've started a few months ago, or to be more precisely, actually already 9 months, to set up a self-hosted HashiCorp Vault. And as far as it goes for the HashiCorp Vault, everything was working fine, and it was distributed over 3 nodes. However, there were some pieces missing, and I didn't have time to follow through and finish everything. So I decided to start from scratch and also document the whole setup process. I have it as a blog post, which I will link in the description. But for those people who prefer to watch videos, I'll go through the whole post in this video. And instead of going with HashiCorp Vault, I also decided to take OpenBao for a spin. It's a HashiCorp Vault. It's a HashiCorp Vault. That's a mouthful. Fork before it switched the license. You can read about the license change and what that means on HashiCorp's announcements. There are different posts out there. I'm just going to focus here on the installation, so let me get going. Before I start, however, here a short introduction of the setup. So I'm using here 3 different servers. All of them have Docker installed, and all of them have an internal IP over which they can communicate with each other. You can use public IPs. There are many ways to solve this this thing. I'm just doing it with this setup. This is how my setup works, and I hope it helps you also set up. Anyway, so first, let's set up the directory structure. And since I'm also a big Tmux fan, you can use Tmux to execute the same thing on different panes. And I'm going to be lazy now and just copy the thing that I have prepared, which didn't work out quite as expected, unfortunately. Okay, let me do this again. Okay. And directory, the permissions. The permissions are because of the user, how it's running in Docker, and we're just preparing everything that the user can the user from the container can use everything and access what it needs to access. So let me see if this actually works, because my copy and paste thingy here, this seems to have broken a bit. I was trying to show off my Tmux skills, and that kind of made more work than it actually solved. Anyway, the directories are created. So we have opt Docker Vault. You can place it in other directories. You can use Docker volumes. I prefer to put my stuff under opt Docker and then whatever stack it's running. I don't remember why I started this way, but for me it just makes sense. So we have here our certs, config, and data directory. In the certs directory, we'll put the certificates. This will all be self-signed certificates. So it might not be the best production solution, but it's a good step to get going, understand how OpenBao works and how it can replicate the data over the 3 nodes. We will create this only on 1 node. So let me switch the other ones off. So we're doing the whole certificates, everything on one of the nodes. It doesn't matter if it's the first, second, or the third, and then copying the data to all the other nodes. And since once again I'm lazy and I do not want to type this over multiple times, so here's the basic OpenSSL configuration file, and then we're going to do for every node a separate file. And I'll go through them and explain what they actually contain. So, and the third one. So if you look here, we have our extfile.conf for CNF. This is the basic OpenSSL configuration, replace the values as you see fit for your self-signed certificate. It basically doesn't really matter. What is important, however, if you look at the each node file individually, you have here alt names or alternative names. You have to have all your IP addresses in here over which you want to communicate with OpenBao. So if you have no access to this internal IP from your client machine, you should add the external IP if you want to communicate with it in here as well. Let me just do exactly that because later in this setup I will use the macOS Bao client to communicate with the server. So where's that file, and let's add this second IP address here. By the way, I'm not blurring out the IP addresses. These servers are just temporary, just for this setup, and every API keys or tokens you will see here won't exist after the video because I will be deleting the whole servers. They're really just for this purpose. Anyway, back to our setup. So we have these 3 files. For each node there's one, and I will also be naming them Vault 01, Vault 02, Vault 03, hence all these files. And you would go ahead here and add a third IP address for the external IP of the second server, and same here. But I will just stick with the first one and add the public IP address just for the first one in here, just that you get the idea what you need to do. So after we have all these files in place, we can use OpenSSL to create all the certificates. I will just paste this whole chunk in here. There's all the details are also in the blog post where you can copy and paste all the data. But now we have all the certificates created. However, we have still a problem here. Everything belongs to root, and if we would start the Docker container, OpenBao would not have access to the certificates. So let's fix permissions once again. Just for the certificates, everything else should still be fine. Okay, now the next step is to prepare a Docker Compose file to start. We won't start it, however, yet. We'll just prepare the file, and I will go through the contents. If we look at the Compose file, so basically this is just the image, the container name. You can leave that as is. The interesting part is probably here, where we have extra hosts. What you can do with Docker, you can define DNS and the appropriate IP address, which works only for that service. So in this case, the service OpenBao would see Vault 01, Vault 02, or Vault 03 and be able to resolve them to these specific IP addresses. This makes the communication between them work and also make the self-signed certificates between them work. Then we have here the volumes as described below. I'm using bind mounts to opt Docker Vault and then data config inserts and the command to start the whole server. We will, however, not start just yet. Just looking at my notes before I continue, I mentioned that you have to make sure that these IP addresses are the correct ones, and you have these 3 DNS names, Vault 01, Vault 02, or Vault 03 in here. If you use other names, make sure to create the appropriate certificate files. Okay, now to make things easier, we're going to just create a tarball with all these, sorry, the wrong directory, with all these files and copy them to the other nodes. Okay, I prepared this in advance a bit. And now we need to prepare this to all the other nodes. And of course, I forgot the IP address of the last node. Just give me a second. This one is the last one. Yes, allow. Okay, now we have these in here. I thought I removed these directories. Apparently I haven't. And uncompress the files on the new servers, or on the on the additional servers. I'll just leave you can remove the table, and since we don't really need it anymore. Okay, now back to OpenBao configuration. We need to configure how OpenBao will communicate with other nodes. The config files are almost the same. They need, however, a configuration which are the other two nodes it sees, and hence it's easier to just create this 3 separate files, or a separate configuration on each server. This time, this has to be done on every server separately, and not on the same server multiple times, because it would just be overwriting your config file. So the config file goes in op-docker vault config, and let's just open up it in the editor to look at it. So the important part is first the cluster address. This is the address where OpenBao will be listening to, and this is the IP address of the first server. Let's try this again. I'm trying to edit to record this in one go and not edit the movies, but apparently I kind of lost my cool and started swearing a bit, which I usually don't mind, but anyway. Yeah, what I've done here, I'm on Vault 2, which is the second server, but I copied the file for Vault 1. This is my mistake. It was just because the window was first, and I started with that one first. So let me open the correct file now. So as I was mentioned, the cluster address is the important one. It differs for every server, so you need to make sure that it's correct on every server. This is the node ID of the current node. Then you have here the other two nodes it's connecting to. So Vault 02 will be connected to Vault 03 and Vault 01, and the appropriate certificate files for each node. And last but not least, you have the certificate files for the node itself. So since I'm on Vault 02, I have the certificate for Vault 02. Now that I've got this correct, I can continue here with the config file for Vault 1. And my copy and paste is not working. Thank you. Yeah, so here we are on Vault 01. This is the IP address. It's connecting to Vault 02 and Vault 03, and the certificates for Vault 01. Okay, great. Now let's go with the last one, which is Vault 03. Cover this in here. Looking good. Again, same thing. I won't go through it once more. Now we can start the container. I'm again starting. Let's actually do it the other way around and clear this. We are going with Vault 01, and we're going to start it first on this one. Yeah, it's basically nothing more than a Docker Compose up, and need to look at the logs. So it's already trying to reach out to the other nodes, which won't work because they're not running. So we can start with the other nodes. We can start the server on the other nodes as well. Do the same one over here. Yeah, but it still won't work because, as you can see here, Vault is sealed. Not only is it sealed, it's not even initialized. What we're going to do now is start the initialization. Jesus Christ, my enable to execute any bao commands without it complaining about the certificate being a self-signed certificate. You can provide the environment variable, the bao cr cert, which used to be Vault cr cert with HashiCorp Vault. It still works with OpenBao as well if you use the Vault one. And we are starting a shell in the Docker container. Now, if we do a bao status, you will see here that we have initialized false and sealed true. This is not good. We need to fix that. We need to first initialize it and then unseal it. For the initialization, it's pretty simple. You go I have no idea what I have done. Yeah. Bao operator init. I just locked my keyboard by accident. It will take a few seconds. It will initialize the Vault and give you this important data which you need to save. You need to save it somewhere safe, not in a notepad or some other note. The best thing is to put it in a password manager. I'm just going to copy it. I'm just going to do exactly what I told you not to do and put it in a notepad because I will just need it later. But since these servers will be removed, it doesn't really matter. So the root token will be needed later to be able to log in. And the unseal keys, you get 5 unseal keys. It's needed to be able to unseal your Vault. You need 3 unseal keys to unseal it. It doesn't matter which ones you use, but yeah, you need 3. Let me just go on here. Okay, now it's time to unseal the Vault. Yeah, this won't be any fancy edited YouTube video. Again, I'm just here to show you how to work with this and how to set it up. So first unseal, second unseal, and third unseal. As I mentioned, it doesn't matter which one of the keys you use, but you have to unseal it 3 times. If we now do a bao status, we can see that it's initialized as requested and it's unsealed. My arrows don't really look nice. Now we have unsealed the first one, but we did not unseal the other ones. You need to unseal every single node you have. There's an option to auto unseal, but this is something for a future video. We'll just do the simple or not so simple manual way of unsealing, and we can just use this. You don't have to use the same keys as with the first node. It doesn't really matter. You need 3 of the 5 keys. And it doesn't matter which one you're using. unseal the third one as well. I should probably be correct. So let's stick with this one now. Now it's still the same. It should be the same output on all of the 3 nodes. You get initialized true and sealed false. What's with the status? So also here we've got initialized true and sealed false, which means your OpenBao cluster is running and it's replicating the data on all 3 nodes. I will skip the part where you install the OpenBao on your local machine, for example, like me on macOS. It's pretty straightforward. However, what I will do is do the last part where you can check the status of the peers. In able to do that, you would have to execute a login, and here you need the provided root token during the initialization. Now we have logged in and we can execute our Bao operator Raft list peers, which will show the 3 nodes we have and which one of them is the leader, which is the follower. We can do the same thing on a different node. It should be here, this one. Raft list peers. Same output here. We have the Vault 01 being the leader and the other ones being the follower. Now, if we were to shut this one down and look here again, all of a sudden the Vault 01 is a follower and not a leader anymore. This might be misleading because it kind of looks like the server is running, which actually it's not. But monitoring and health checks is also something for a future video. Now, if we start this one back up again, this won't change it back to the leader, and actually it doesn't even have access to the secrets because they're still sealed. After every restart, it gets sealed back again and you need to unseal it. That's why automatic unsealing is a thing that I might be looking into also in a future post. Let's go operator unseal. Where are my keys? I put them in my notepad here, but I also have the keys here from the previous tests. So let's hope I get the right ones. Seems good. And the last one. Let's check. And we have initialized true, sealed false, all good. And if we check the other node again, still Vault 02 is the leader. It does not change back. Well, this was the basic setup of OpenBao or HashiCorp Vault. I should have probably mentioned it in the introduction to the video. It doesn't matter if you install HashiCorp Vault or OpenBao, the setup is the same. The only thing that is different is the command, because instead of Bao, you would be using Vault, which also still exists in OpenBao. So you can do, and I'd make the same mistake with both versions. So you can use Vault status or Bao status as you see fit. I chose to go with OpenBao because it's the fully open source, and I don't really see an issue not to try the fully open source version. and not have any issues with future license changes, but that's also a completely different topic. Yeah, the HashiCorp Vault, or actually the OpenBao Vault, is now up and running. It's replicating over 3 nodes, but so far there's nothing in it. This will be, again, something for a future video. I hope this will help you set up OpenBao. As next videos, I want to do the setting up proper SSL to have a higher availability over all these 3 nodes, because now they are replicating. Your data will be replicated in all 3 nodes. However, you do not want to work with a custom CA, certificate authority file, every time you interact with Bao. And also you don't want to change the IP based on which node is currently running. So especially if you have things like NNN that will access external secrets, nobody really wants to enter the NNN configuration and change the IP address every time something goes down, or update the DNS manually as something goes down. But we will look on ways to solve these issues in a future video, and I hope this will help you get started with OpenBao or HashiCorp Vault. So have a nice day and see you in the next one.